All right, strap in, everybody. Today we're going deep on a classic, Good to Great.
By Jim Collins, yeah.
Exactly. And we're going to break it all down with this awesome YouTube summary from Master Raffle.
Super helpful.
It really is. And, this book isn't about companies that were, like, amazing right out of the gate.
Right.
It's about the ones that started out just okay,
Good.
good, and then just, like, totally crushed it.
Yeah. Went from good to great.
And the best part, I think, is that all this stuff, it's not just for businesses.
Oh, absolutely. Collins and his team, they spent 5 years studying what actually makes that difference.
5 years.
5 years. And we're not talking about, just a quick flash in the pan. This is about, like, sustained knock your socks off performance.
Okay, so is there, like, a secret recipe? A magic formula? I gotta know.
Well, one of the things that surprised them the most was that being good, it can actually hold you back from becoming great. Yeah. When things are already decent, there's not as much of that, like, fire in your belly to push for huge changes.
Right.
It's like that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what if unbroken is actually keeping you from something amazing?
Okay, so complacency,
Yeah.
like being comfortable with good enough, that's the enemy?
Yeah.
Makes sense. But how do you actually break free from that?
Well, it all starts with what Collins calls level 5 leadership.
Okay.
And this isn't your typical picture of, like, a big, charismatic, take charge CEO.
Right.
It's this really interesting blend of personal humility with this intense professional will.
Humility. So it's not about being the loudest person in the room.
Not at all. Think about Darwin E. Smith, the CEO that took Kimberly-Clark to a whole other level.
Right.
He was really unassuming, almost shy, but he had this quiet determination to do what was best for the company,
Okay.
even if it meant making big, unconventional choices,
Like what?
like selling off their paper mills, the traditional paper mills.
Wait, selling off like a core part of the business? That's a huge risk.
It was. But Smith was able to look past those immediate profits. He understood that being stuck in the past wouldn't lead to long-term success.
Yeah.
So he shifted the focus to consumer products, things like Huggies diapers.
Huggies.
And that decision, even though it was controversial back then, it led to incredible growth.
Wow. So level 5 leaders, they're not afraid to make those tough decisions, even if it means going against the crowd.
Exactly.
But how do you develop that kind of leadership?
It's a mix of nature and nurture, but one really helpful tool is the window and the mirror concept.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, level 5 leaders, they instinctively look out the window to give credit to others when things go well. Their teams, outside factors, even luck. But when things go wrong, they look in the mirror and take full responsibility. No blaming, no excuses.
Now that you mention it, I've noticed that in some really effective leaders I've worked with, they're always quick to share the credit and slow to point fingers. It's like they create this environment of, like, shared accountability,
Yeah.
and genuine collaboration.
Exactly. And that leads us right into another big principle. First who, then what. It challenges that traditional idea that great leaders, they have this grand plan from the start, and then they put together a team to make it happen.
Wait, so you're saying it's not about having the perfect strategy all figured out first?
According to Collins' research, doing that can actually be a recipe for disaster.
Interesting.
He found that good to great companies, they put getting the right people on board first before they even figure out exactly where they're going.
Wow.
They build a team so talented, so adaptable, that they can handle anything, any unexpected turn.
That's a big shift in thinking. So it's more about having A players who can figure things out as they go, rather than meticulously planning every single step in advance.
It's like this. Imagine a company as a vehicle. The strategy is your roadmap.
Okay.
But if you don't have a skilled driver and an engine that runs well, even the best roadmap won't get you where you need to be.
Okay, that makes total sense. But how do you even know who those right people are? What makes someone a good fit for this type of high-performing team?
It's not just skills or experience on paper. It's about their values, their shared commitment to excellence that drive to be the best.
Got it.
A great example is Wells Fargo. Back in the 80s, their CEO, Dick Coley, was dealing with a ton of upheaval in the banking industry.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Instead of trying to predict the future and come up with some rigid plan, He focused on building a team of super talented, adaptable people.
So he basically built a team of all-stars who could handle anything the market threw at them.
Yeah, like a team of brilliant improvisers. And this talent over strategy approach really worked. Wells Fargo didn't just survive the chaos, they thrived, became one of the most successful banks out there.
That's amazing. It makes you rethink how we build teams everywhere, work, volunteer groups, even your close friends. Having the right people with you makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And honestly, we're just scratching the surface here. Collins digs into how these good to great companies face hard truths, find their unique strengths, and create a culture that pushes them forward. But we'll save those juicy details for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm already hooked. Can't wait to unpack all that. This is so much more than just a business book.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
a guide to being awesome in any part of life.
You got it. And the best part is, it's a journey anyone can take, no matter where they're starting from. We just need to be brave enough to step off the good path and onto the path that leads to great.
Love that. All right, listeners, stick around. We're about to go even deeper into good to great, and I think there's some big aha moments coming our way.
Welcome back to our deep dive into good to great. You know, we're going beyond just the business stuff here.
Yeah.
We're looking at how these ideas can help us on our own journeys.
Absolutely. In part one, we talked about that level 5 leadership and how it's not about being like super charismatic or having a big ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that mix of humility and that drive
Yeah.
to achieve big things.
Yeah.
But can, someone who's not a CEO actually like develop those qualities?
Oh, totally. It's about consciously choosing to put the greater good first.
Okay.
Whether that's your team's success, your family's well-being, or even just your own personal growth. Remember that window in the mirror idea?
Yeah.
That's a super powerful tool for like keeping your ego in check and creating that culture where everyone feels responsible.
So when things are good, you share the credit, you don't hog the spotlight,
Exactly.
and when things go wrong,
Yeah.
you look at yourself first.
You own it.
It sounds so simple,
Yeah.
but honestly, it's like the opposite of what we're naturally inclined to do.
It is. It takes real effort to change that mindset, to move away from just promoting yourself and towards working together.
Yeah. And like social media doesn't exactly help with that, does it?
No, not really. It's all about personal branding and showing off your accomplishments.
Yeah.
But those good to great companies and the people who achieve that kind of greatness, they operate differently. They get that true success is a team effort.
I see.
And that connects to the idea of facing those brutal facts, which can be tough, especially when it comes to personal growth.
Ugh.
It's like holding up a mirror to your own flaws, your shortcomings. It's not always fun.
No, definitely not.
It might not feel good, but it's so necessary. Whether you're trying to break a bad habit, improve your relationships, or just take your career to the next level, you got to be honest with yourself about where you're falling short. No sugarcoating, no excuses.
Okay, that's deep.
Yeah.
But how do you balance that honesty with the optimism and motivation you need to actually make those changes?
That's where the Stockdale paradox comes in.
Okay, remind me what that is again.
It's about having this unwavering faith in your ability to succeed while also acknowledging the harsh realities of your situation.
Right. So it's not about being blindly optimistic. It's about seeing the challenges clearly and still believing you can overcome them.
Exactly. And you can apply this to anything. Like, let's say you're trying to get in shape.
Okay.
You can admit that you're not where you want to be right now, that you have some unhealthy habits, and that it's going to be hard work.
Yeah.
But you also need to believe that you're capable of transforming your body, of reaching your goals. It's that unwavering belief in the end result, even when things are tough.
I'm starting to see how these concepts, which seem like they're just for businesses, really can apply to personal growth.
Yeah.
It's like changing how you approach challenges, whether it's at work, in your relationships, or even just with yourself.
No, let's talk about finding your sweet spot, your zone of genius. That's where the hedgehog concept comes in. Remember, it's about finding the overlap between three things.
Yeah.
What you're passionate about, what you can be the best at, and what drives your economic engine, so to speak.
And when we're talking about ourselves, economic engine doesn't have to mean money, right? It could be your sense of purpose, your impact on the world, how fulfilled you feel.
It's about what sustains you, what energizes you, what motivates you. And finding that sweet spot, it's not always easy. It takes some soul searching, some experimentation, and a willingness to push past your limits.
So it's not just about what you're good at right now, it's about what you could be the best at, even if you haven't reached that potential yet.
Exactly. It might mean stepping outside your comfort zone, trying new things, embracing that growth mindset.
Okay.
Imagine you're exploring this huge uncharted territory, and somewhere in there is your hedgehog, that unique point where you excel.
Ooh, like a treasure hunt.
Kind of, but
Yeah.
once you find your hedgehog, how do you actually make that vision a reality?
That's the question. There are always distractions, things pulling you in different directions, keeping you from that core focus.
And that's where discipline comes in, not like strict rules or denying yourself things. It's about building that discipline within yourself, creating a framework so you consistently make choices that support your hedgehog concept.
So it's about having a system in place, a set of guidelines that
Yeah.
help you stay on track,
Yeah,
even when things get tough or you're tempted to stray from your path.
exactly. And a really useful tool here is the stop doing list. What are the things you're doing, the habits you have, even the relationships you're in that are draining your energy?
Oh, interesting.
The things that are holding you back from going after your hedgehog with everything you've got.
It's funny, we always talk about to-do lists, adding more to our plates.
Right.
This stop doing idea is like hitting the reset button, clearing out the clutter so you can actually focus on what matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about getting your priorities straight with your energy, your time, everything you have. And that's where technology can be either a huge help or a huge distraction. Remember how those good to great companies use tech to speed things up, not to create momentum from scratch?
Right.
Same thing goes for our personal lives.
So use technology to boost your strengths, to help you achieve your goals better, not to let it control your life.
Exactly.
So it's like tech should serve your hedgehog, not the other way around.
You got it. Think about how tech can help you become the best version of yourself, how it can help you live out your hedgehog concept. Maybe it's using an app to manage your time, taking an online course to learn something new, or using a fitness tracker to stay on track with your health goals. The key is to be intentional, to make sure how you're using tech matches your goals and values.
So it's like asking yourself, is this app, this platform, this gadget helping me get closer to my hedgehog? Or is it just another distraction?
Exactly. And speaking of staying on track, let's go back to the flywheel and the doom loop.
Yeah.
These ideas are all about the power of putting in consistent, focused effort. It's tempting to look for quick fixes, to jump from one trend to the next, but real, lasting progress comes from pushing that flywheel day after day in the right direction.
But how do you stay motivated? I mean, it's human nature to get bored, to want to try new things. How do you keep going when the excitement fades and you're just dealing with the everyday grind?
Your hedgehog concept becomes your anchor, your guiding light. When you're truly passionate about what you're doing, when you believe in it, that inner drive keeps you going even when things get tough. And remember, success isn't always a straight line.
True.
There will be setbacks, challenges, moments of doubt, but it's about having the resilience to keep pushing that flywheel, to keep moving forward, even when it feels like you're taking two steps back for every one step
It's a
forward.
marathon, not a sprint, right?
Exactly. You pace yourself, conserve your energy, and trust that all those little efforts will eventually lead to a breakthrough.
I like that.
This reminds me of a story Collins tells in the book. It's about a guy named Bill Lazier who is diagnosed with a rare type of cancer and given just a year to live.
Oh, wow.
But instead of giving up, he decided to spend his remaining time doing something incredible.
I'm on the edge of my seat here. What did he do?
He set out to climb the 7 summits, the highest mountains on each of the 7 continents.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like he took the confront the brutal facts idea to a whole other level. Did he actually do it?
He did. Against all odds, he achieved his goal. He even wrote a book about it called Beyond the Summit. Sadly, he passed away a few years later, but his story is such a powerful example of the human spirit overcoming incredible obstacles.
It's like a real-life version of the Stockdale paradox. He faced the reality of his situation head-on, but he never lost faith in his ability to do something extraordinary. And it wasn't just about climbing those mountains, it was about living life to the fullest, even in the face of death.
His story is a powerful reminder that we all have that potential for greatness inside us, even when we're facing challenges that seem impossible. And that greatness doesn't have to be about big public achievements. It can be about striving for excellence in our everyday lives, whatever that looks like for each of us.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a question that Collins asks in the book. What area of your life could you apply these principles to make that leap from good to great? It's something worth thinking about, right?
It is. And it's not a question you ask just once.
Well,
It's something we should be asking ourselves all the time, because as we change and grow, our hedgehog concept might change, our goals might shift, and what greatness means to us might even transform.
it's a constant journey of self-discovery and pushing for excellence in every part of our lives. And who knows, maybe by using these principles, we can all reach our own version of Beyond the Summit. All right, welcome back to our deep dive on Good to Great. So far, we've seen how companies make that jump from being good to being truly exceptional.
Right.
And even more importantly, I think how those same ideas can apply to our own lives.
Absolutely.
We talked about getting the right people on board, facing those hard truths, figuring out your hedgehog concept, and building that culture of discipline. But there's one more layer we need to unpack, right? The idea of, like, lasting greatness.
Right. So we've gone from good to great.
Yeah,
Now, how do we stay great?
exactly.
And I have a feeling this is where Colin's other book, Built to Last, comes into play. You got it.
Wow.
In that last part of Good to Great, Collins kind of bridges the gap between those two books.
Right.
He found that a lot of those companies in Built to Last, the ones that have been successful for like decades, even centuries,
Wow.
they actually started their journeys by using those good to great principles.
So it's like a two-stage rocket,
Yeah.
good to great,
Yeah.
gets you that initial success, and then built to last gives you the tools to make it last, long term.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that.
It's about building something that can survive anything, something that can change and adapt while staying true to its core.
So what's the key to building something that truly lasts? Is there, like, a secret ingredient?
One of the most important things is what Collins calls core ideology. These are like the fundamental values and beliefs that guide a company's every move.
Right.
They're the unshakable principles that shape the company's culture, its identity, its very essence, you could say.
So even as the world changes, even as the market changes, these core values stay the same, like a compass, guiding them through the uncertainty.
Exactly. Think about companies like Disney, famous for their focus on imagination and creativity, or Johnson & Johnson with their commitment to putting the needs of patients and customers first.
Yeah.
Those core values are more than just words, They're baked into the company's DNA.
Yeah.
They influence everything from who they hire to the products they create, even how they interact with customers.
And this idea of core ideology, it's not just for companies, is it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's just as important for us as individuals.
Interesting.
What are your core values? What do you stand for? What principles guide your choices, your actions, how you interact with the world?
Whoa, those are some big questions.
Right.
It's like you're asking me to write my own personal constitution,
It kind of is.
my own set of guiding principles.
It's not about coming up with some big fancy statement.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those beliefs that are already there, deep down inside you.
Yeah.
The things that shape how you see the world, your relationships, the choices you make.
So it's about becoming more self-aware, more intentional about living in line with those values.
Exactly.
And to be honest, that sounds harder than it seems.
It can be.
Life throws you curveballs, you get caught up in the day-to-day, and sometimes those core values get lost.
It's true.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so important to define them, to put them into words, to make them a conscious part of how you make decisions.
I see.
Because when you're faced with a tough choice, when you're feeling unsure, those core values can be your guide,
That makes sense.
your compass.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into good to great,
Okay.
what are some of the big takeaways for our listeners? If they could only remember a few things, what would you want those to be?
Ooh, good question.
Well, first and foremost, greatness is a choice, not something that just happens to you.
Right.
It's about making conscious decisions, taking consistent action, and building momentum over time.
It's not about luck or having some magic formula.
Yeah.
It's about putting in the work day after day and trusting that that flywheel will eventually get you where you want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second, surround yourself with the right people.
Yes,
Build a team that shares your values, your drive for excellence, your passion for what you're doing.
because, like we learned, the who is
Yes.
often more important than the what.
Right.
It's about having those amazing people with you, the ones who can adapt, come up with new ideas, and overcome those challenges that inevitably come up.
And finally, never stop learning, never stop growing, never settle for good when great is possible.
Yeah.
Embrace that Stockdale paradox, face those tough realities, and always believe in your ability to achieve something truly exceptional.
So there you have it, folks, our deep dive into good to great.
We hope this has sparked some new ideas, inspired you to take action, and maybe even helped you figure out your own hedgehog concept.
And remember, greatness is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And it's a journey we can all take, no matter where we're starting from.
Absolutely.
So keep pushing that flywheel, stay true to your core values, and never stop reaching for that next level of excellence.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
We'll be back soon with another exploration into the world of big ideas and how they can change our lives.
See you next time.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.